Welcome to this module. In this module, we are going to go through a deeper understanding of your tertiary needs and the importance of them. So, your tertiary needs are essentially the moment-to-moment needs that are a simple strategy to get deeper needs met. So as I was mentioning earlier, you can think of this as being the tiny streams that are then leading back to the medium streams that are then leading back to that river. They're sort of all leading back to your 6 basic human needs, but your tertiary needs tend to be things that are very available to you at a conscious level if you introspect in real time. So if you look at the sheet that you have right now of the tertiary needs, I've actually labeled them under the categories of the 6 basic human needs, but keep in mind that your personality needs are sort of the intermediary force there. But you might find that tertiary needs are things like to feel seen, heard, and understood as a strategy to lead back to the basic human need of significance, or as a strategy to lead back to the basic human need of love and connection. And keep in mind, these are very individualistic things. We build these needs into support our personality needs and 6 basic human needs according to where we've built in positive, way more so than negative associations throughout our life experiences. So every decision, you really want to keep this in mind, every decision is to some degree related to self-preservation of needs. So research has actually proven that every single decision we make is point blank period out of self-preservation of our own individual needs, which is sort of like an idealistic person breaker to a certain degree, because what this is saying is that every single decision we make is actually based out of self-preservation. Every decision we make is actually selfish to some degree. And a lot of people will go, wait, but I'm such a selfless person. And the reality is that individual needs, your personal needs, are either more aligned with collective needs or not. And that's the difference between what appears to us as selfish or selfless. So for example, we can take somebody who, their primary of the 6 basic human needs are related to contribution and then love and connection. And then maybe they really care about, sharing and teaching, with other people. And maybe they also care about, giving, and they want to share, and they want to express, and they want to do all these things. But that's actually because their individual needs programming are just more oriented in that form of contribution and love and connection. And so they appear like more selfless people, but it's actually because their individual needs are just more aligned with the collective good. And so every decision that we all make as individuals are just subconscious strategies to preserve ourselves at the needs level. Some good examples of tertiary needs that we'll see sort of often occurring at the moment-to-moment behavioral level that we can come to identify and work with are things like, some really common things I see are people, binge eating food. And maybe binge eating food in a certain moment is a subconscious strategy to get the personality needs met for comfort or for emotional connection that are related to, at a deeper level, and your 6 basic human needs, certainty and love and connection. And so, what our earliest emotional associations are to food are our mother's breast milk. And, when we're breastfed as children, we've got lots of oxytocin flowing, which is the bonding neurochemical. So we tend to build in those really positive emotional associations to emotional connection, to comfort that are related to food. And so our subconscious mind can go do something and have some action or behavior that may not actually be benefiting us in the best way possible, because, like we were saying, your brain is very survivalistic based in a lot of ways, and will look for the fastest strategy to get its needs met, not the most effective or the healthiest strategy to get its needs met. Another tertiary need you might see is people might love traveling and have this tertiary need to travel and to go do all these different things, and that can be related to the personality needs of exploration or of novelty. And again, those are related to the 6 basic human needs, to the need for uncertainty, for new things. And it can even be related to things like growth, but this is very individualistic. So it's important that you come in and you check in with what your needs are specifically based on the positive versus negative associations you've experienced. And a personality need, as well as a tertiary need, can meet multiple of our 6 basic human needs. So again, this doesn't have to be a black and white process. You don't have to know exactly all of the needs in the exact structure and order. You want to just work to familiarize yourself with, hey, which tertiary needs are showing up for me most often, and how are these related to my personality needs, and what are my personality needs? And that's a very important question. And then you can sort of play with how do these personality needs relate to the 6 basic human needs. But what you really are looking to find is your personality needs through this course very clearly, and some of the tertiary needs that show up most often for you, because it's the tertiary needs that are deeply impacting our interpersonal relationships. It's the things like, hey, I need to feel seen and heard and understood, or I need to feel connected, or I need to feel expressed, I need to feel like I can share myself, I need to feel like I have order in my everyday life. These are the types of things that show up on a more regular basis, more frequently, and much more close to our conscious mind's surface. So, a little bit more you should know about needs. Everything actually has a hidden positive intention according to what's available to us. So there's always some kind of positive intention through the decisions and behaviors that we take part in that are just, again, this strategy to get our needs met. And if we don't know our needs, we can't express them. And if we don't express our needs, we are more likely to feel resentful, angry, frustrated in our interpersonal relationships. So we want to become a master of knowing our needs and being able to have strategies to meet these needs for ourselves so that we are not dependent on some other person to get our needs met. And at the same time, we want to be the master of knowing our needs and then expressing them to others and giving others strategies to get these needs met for us so that we can sort of have like a nice mastery of both sides, being able to have this interdependency and connection with others and giving and receiving through what our needs are and meeting other people's needs at the same time in our interpersonal relationships, as well as this ability to meet our own needs whenever when other individuals are not necessarily available. And to deny either of these forms is basically a lie to yourself, because we are wired for attachment and authenticity. We're wired to be attached to others, and we're wired for our own individuality and feeling like we are independent from others. And we have to take both into equal consideration as much as possible. So from a tertiary needs perspective, I don't want you to get too involved in all the details here and that you have to have a perfect order of all your tertiary needs and know which streams are leading to which river. Don't complicate this for yourself. This exercise is about familiarizing yourself as much as possible with the things that are important to you. So I want you to pull up the worksheet that has your tertiary needs list. And I want you to circle the tertiary needs that are most important to you, the top 15 or even the top 20 if a lot of them are really, scoring high on sort of a 10 scale. And you can rate yourself next to these needs by asking yourself the question, how effective have you been at getting these needs met through others or meeting these needs for yourself? And I want you to just take inventory. This exercise, again, is about familiarizing yourself, not about doing it perfectly. So write down the most important needs at the tertiary level and write down, how well have I been getting these needs met for myself and through the relationship to myself, and how good have I been at communicating these needs and receiving them from others. And then I want you to write a strategy for each. So in any area that, there's something really important to you and you're not getting this need met very effectively, I want you to create a strategy to do so more effectively. And again, you can do this in both ways, in relationship to self and through others. So let me give you an example. Let's say that the need is to be seen and heard and understood. And you can ask yourself the question, how effectively have I been feeling seen, heard, and understood in my close interpersonal relationships? And then what is the strategy to be better at this? And this might be, hey, I need to communicate and share my feelings more often so I feel like I'm vulnerable and then I feel like people are seeing and hearing and understanding me. And then internally, in relationship to self, the idea might be to journal more often, to write my feelings, to reflect more often and introspect more often so I feel like I'm seeing and hearing and understanding myself. And again, you want to be really clear about this, because if you are not consciously and intentionally meeting your needs, your personality needs and your tertiary needs especially, then what happens is we rely on these unconscious strategies that our brain uses to get our needs met. And a lot of them are very outdated. So a lot of them will be things like, in childhood, we threw a temper tantrum and our parents came and consoled us. And we don't want to be throwing a temper tantrum in our adult lives as this way of trying to get emotional connection or as a way of trying to be seen and heard and understood. We want to have healthy, conscious strategies to get our needs met, so we're in control of our emotional state a lot more so, and so that we feel like our buckets are constantly being filled, and that we have this mastery of being able to create the dynamics that we're looking to see manifest in our external lives. The next thing I want you to do, if you're really working to know your needs better and to work with your needs more effectively, is to start tracking your needs in the evening. It's a great exercise. And again, you can feel free to hit pause on this and just go through this exercise in your workbook as we're going through it here. And what you can do in this exercise is track your needs in the evening. So go back through your day and you'll see in your workbook that it's time blocked. So, 8 to 12, 12 to 4, 4 till 8 p.m. And just ask yourself, what was I needing through these different time blocks of my day? And what are some strategies I can use to better meet these needs? You might see, for example, that between 12 and 4 p.m. you were in a business meeting and you needed some kind of validation or encouragement from your boss or from your colleagues. And so note that and ask yourself, what's a more effective strategy to get this need met? Maybe ask for feedback. Maybe encourage somebody else, and then, hope that people will start to respond positively to you and encourage you also. Produce that dynamic in the workplace. And what you're doing is, through tracking your needs in the evening, especially if you can do this for 21 full days, is you'll start to notice the patterns in your personality for what you naturally need and are gravitating towards. And then you can start working with this and creating the most effective ways possible to get these needs met. And sometimes, instead of what we sometimes do, which is, freeze around the need, not know what to do, dismiss the need, avoid or ignore the need, diminish the need, and then these needs try to pop back up in whatever ways they can. And so you'll see, if you monitor your behavior closely, that when we start creating more conscious and intentional strategies to get our needs met, we start living a more fulfilled life, and we feel more empowered in our lives. Life clears up. We get a lot more clarity. We feel like we're closer in our interpersonal relationships, because again, these needs are aspects of ourselves and they're not going to go anywhere. So you can ask yourself as well throughout the day, if you're really looking to do a lot of work around your needs, a great question to ask yourself as much as possible throughout the day when you feel a little bit triggered or a little bit off or a little bit stale is, hey, what am I feeling right now, and what do I need to feel better? And what you're doing is, because remember, your emotions are often feedback for whether or not needs are met or unmet. You're just familiarizing yourself. Hey, I'm feeling a certain emotion. What is that saying to me about my needs? And the more you are familiar, and again, this is the point of this course, is not to have this perfect order and structure of what needs the most important at the tertiary level and where it goes at the personality need level and what 6 basic human needs. I just want you to understand the concepts and what's going on and why it's important. And I just want you to familiarize yourself as much as possible so you start noticing how you're making decisions and what needs these are related to, and what, emotional feedback your feelings are giving to you in correlation with your needs, so you can start feeling empowered in your life to go get your needs met, to express your needs to others, or to meet those needs yourself. So in this next module, we're going to go through how to express your needs in a lot more detail, so you can also feel empowered to do this in your close relationships. So this brings us to exercise number 3. Exercise number 3 is about creating healthy habits by developing conscious strategies to meet your needs. So the purpose of this exercise is to bring awareness of what tertiary or surface level daily needs your mind uses to get its deeper subconscious needs met. You can then implement this awareness in your daily life to ask for your needs in relationships, to regulate and understand what's important to you, and to create supportive strategies for understanding yourself and sharing yourself with others. You can also use this exercise to create healthy habits that are going to support you in getting these needs met in relationship to yourself. So the directions here are to start by circling the top 15 needs from the tertiary needs list, which is located at the back of your workbook. Then I want you to rate yourself. How effective have you been at getting these needs met? And you can rate yourself from 1 to 10. in the marker on the side of your page on the left-hand column. And then what you want to do is write a strategy to support yourself in getting these needs met. You want to return to this and track these in the evening. So you can ask yourself, okay, if connection was an important need and I put my strategies together, how was I today at meeting these needs for myself? How was I at communicating these needs to others? And then you can ask yourself throughout the day, what do I feel? What do I need? This is an important mechanism to get in the habit of training your brain to recognize your feelings are often communicating to you when you have needs that are going unmet. So start by writing out your top 15 tertiary needs, the things that come up for you either most frequently or with the most intensity or a combination of both. So let's say, for example, your first need is connection. Okay, maybe that's important to you on a regular basis. Then in the second column, you're going to create strategies. So what gets me connected to myself, connected to others? What might that look like? Okay, and before you go into writing out your strategies, you can also write, how am I doing in the connection department right now in relationship to self and others? And maybe you might find you're a 6 out of 10 and you're like, wow, there's 40% room for improvement. So I better strategize on behalf of these needs and take care of this need and check in with myself around this need on a daily basis. So some example strategies are, maybe meditating to connect to yourself, maybe journaling to connect to yourself. You could also, if it's connecting with others, having a morning coffee check-in, 15 minutes of being fully present, no technology. Spend time. It can be FaceTiming if you don't live with your loved one. It can be having a morning or evening routine of connection where no technology is present, or being really present on phone calls or Zoom calls. Whatever it is, there are literally going to be endless strategies to meet these needs. But your goal is to come up with the ones that you can see yourself doing the most, that are most empowering to you in terms of feeling like really exciting and inspiring, that yes, this would really fill my bucket. And you really want to be mindful about balancing meeting your own needs with receiving and communicating your needs to others and allowing yourself to have them met. Okay, so you want to go through, fill out your top 15, have strategies beside each one, and then this can be like your check-in. Like you can check in on this every day, every evening, and you're going to be able to see like, oh, I didn't get a lot of feeling heard today. Okay, great. I'm going to make some strategies to really take care of that need tomorrow. Oh, I didn't feel as connected to myself and others as I usually do. Okay, I'm going to really, tend to that need tomorrow and the next day. So this gives you feedback. Your job is to not be perfect with this and to make sure everything is checked off perfectly, always being met a 10 out of 10. Your job is to just use this as a framework, as a map, or like a set of guidelines for you being able to empower yourself, being clear about who you are, what your desires are, and then ways through which to receive, communicate, and give to yourself these things that are valuable to you. Okay, so this can be an ongoing checkpoint for you. It can be very, very powerful in increasing a lot of your feelings of happiness and joy. Now, the integration part and the purpose of the exercise below is to create conscious strategies for being able to meet your needs, and check in with how much you are filling your needs buckets on a daily basis, specific to your personality needs. Okay, so this is like a framework round 2, and you want to use this just as much, if not more, than your tertiary needs. You want to check in with both of them, but the more your subconscious personality needs are met, the more empowered, the more inspired, the more excited, the more energized you are going to feel on a regular basis. So I'd recommend that you reflect on this daily, just for 5 minutes in the morning and evening, just to check in with yourself. So all you're going to do is repeat what we just did at the beginning of this exercise, but you're going to repeat it with your personality needs. So let's say personal growth is a big one. Okay, what are my strategies? Check in with these things. And then, take a look at both regularly, so you see like my daily needs, my moment-to-moment needs, where I'm at with those, but make sure that your personality needs buckets are tended to the most, because this is going to create the most alignment, clarity, direction, passion, you name it. This is going to be where a lot of that comes from.